Am I the asshole for not paying for my daughter's wedding because she invited my brother and his family? I'm 46M, my brother 48M. When I was 20, my then-girlfriend cheated with my brother. I was heartbroken and pissed. I told him he is no longer my brother. Despite my request, my family didn't cut him off, so I told them that I will never again be in the same place as he is. If they wish to invite both, then they should just invite him, as I am the one giving ultimate. My daughter is getting married in spring next year. In our culture, both parents are paying for the wedding, 50-50. Unexpectedly, my daughter sat me down and told me that she will be inviting my brother and his family. He married my cheating ex. Apparently, she was seeing them for the last 4 years and built a relationship behind my back. She even wants her cousin to be some kind of flower girl. I was pissed. I told her what my boundaries are, and if my brother is invited, then I will not pay my part of the wedding. She became angry and told me it's time to let go of the past. I told her it's not her call to make. We argued some more and she told me I am making her wedding about myself. I told her I will probably not even attend, so it will be all about her. She left crying. My ex-wife called me screaming and told me I'm huge asshole and our daughter is crushed. Then my parents called, same thing. I told them off and now I'm ignoring their calls. My girlfriend told me to reconsider and apologize. That by not paying and attending I will break relationship with my daughter. I don't know. I think my boundaries should be respected. Am I asshole for that? Y'all are wild in these comments. If this is real, I'd love to see some of you play happy family with your cheating brother and ex. Here's a very unpopular not the asshole. I don't understand why your daughter decided to connect with somebody who betrayed their father. How much drama would have it been to let sleeping dogs lie? I know a lot of people would have gotten over this betrayal, but you're entitled to your feelings. Still, if this causes an irreparable rift between you and your daughter, being right won't give you much comfort. Am I the asshole for yelling at my mom after she said she probably can't attend my husband's memorial? Using a throwaway username as a random one. Reddit recommended. My F28 husband died a month ago. My heart feels like it's been ripped out of my chest, but I'm trying to get through it all. The funeral was small, in his home state. We have the memorial on Saturday, which friends, extended family are attending. My mom is very close to her siblings. I want to add that I also have a good relationship with my cousins, aunts, uncles. My reaction isn't based off some built-up anger or something. My 5-year-old cousin fell yesterday and hit his head. He had a pretty bad bruise and vomited. They went to the he got checked out with a CT scan and thankfully everything is fine internally. My aunt let the family know what was going on and my mom was going crazy with worry. She let me know and told me to talk to my aunt. I called her and she was crying, saying how scared they all got. Mom said that she wasn't sure if she could attend my husband's memorial, depending on how my cousin's doing. I was pretty shocked. She said that my aunt and uncle are going through a lot of emotional turmoil and she's so worried about them. Now I will completely understand if my aunt's family can't make it, but I want my mother to be with me through my emotional turmoil. I admit I sort of lost it and cried, yelled at her on the phone, that I'm sorry what happened to my cousin but they're fine. My husband is dead. I'm barely holding it together and now she's telling me she can't make it. My mom said I'm overreacting and something really bad could have happened to my cousin. I hung up. She just sent me a message saying she understands I'm emotional and she'll try to make it, but I should be more understanding towards my baby cousin. I decided to post here for some unbiased opinions, if I went too far yelling at my mom. Not the asshole? I feel like her daughter should take priority over a child with 2 functioning parents. Then to gaslight you over your feelings? Damn. Edit. I've seemingly pissed hella people off with my use of the word gaslight? Her mother is trying to make it seem as though a child with 2 parents being injured is more important than her daughter grieving the recent death of her husband. To say her daughter is overreacting is discounting her very reasonable feelings on the situation. It's gaslighting. Look, some of you guys are getting toxic over a word. I'm not changing it. I stand firm in my use of it. I'm not responding to anyone else being toxic. Muting. Am I the asshole for not supporting my fiancé's kid brother after their parents died? This is really something I never thought I'd be posting about, but I don't know how to deal with this. My fiancé Derek and I are both in our late 20s, and we're child-free. No kids, no plans on kids. He supported me through getting my bachelor's and nursing school, and now I'm supporting him through college. We live in a moderately cramped studio apartment, and are saving for a down payment on a nice house outside of the city. And #X200B. Derek's dad and stepmother, his half-brother's mother, both died in a pretty horrific accident that I don't want to name or specify on for privacy reasons. I'm trying to do my best to support Derek through this, and I've taken over funeral planning. His dad and stepmother were both broke, and I'm currently paying for the funeral out of pocket. No one else in his family can contribute. Since the accident, his brother, 12, has been at their aunt's house. He hates it there. Apparently he has to sleep on the floor, and she has 5 young kids that she makes him babysit. I really feel for the kid. I'm sure it's absolutely awful. And #X200B. Derek wants to have his brother move in with us, but I'm not comfortable sharing a room with this 13-year-old boy I've met twice. I also don't want to support him. That's at least a 6-year commitment that I never signed up for. I don't even want kids. Derek has suggested we move into a bigger apartment, but our studio is about as cheap as it gets in this city. We lucked out and have been here for 5 years, and the landlord has never raised the rent. If we move, it'll probably cost around $3,000 to move, and an extra $1,000 per month at least. Not to mention an extra mouth to feed, school clothes and supplies to buy, etc. It doesn't feel fair to me at all, and I feel like Derek is using the fact that he supported me for 4 years against me. Yes, he supported me, but it was a lot cheaper to pay for 2 people in a studio apartment rather than supporting 3 in a bigger and more expensive place. The deal was for him to support me, and for me to support him. Not him and his brother. And #X200B. He just started school this semester. He has essentially 4 more years to go. That's 4 years of me having to support a household, and what if we break up? I'll have spent 4 years supporting a kid I don't want for nothing. I suggested Derek drop out of school and get a job so he can contribute if he wants to support his brother, and said that I would pay for him to go back to school after his brother graduates high school. Derek doesn't want to put off college for another 6 years, which I don't necessarily blame him. And #X200B. But his brother will be safe and fed at his aunt's house. According to both of them, that isn't good enough. I grew up in foster care and I didn't always have somewhere safe to stay, so I guess I'm biased. And #X200B. Am I the asshole for not wanting to support my fiancé's younger brother? And #X200B. Edit. So I did the math on the costs of him supporting me versus me supporting him and his brother, copy and pasting from a comment. I've done the math in an attempt to show him, made an Excel sheet and everything. He spent on average supporting us $1,400 a month over the years I was in school, give or take. My presence cost him an additional $300 a month than if he were to live in the studio alone. Essentially feeding me and paying for the basics cost him around $15,000 over the course of the 4 years that I was in school. We really have scraped by the last several years, no eating out. Christmas gifts, etc. I've already paid $10,000 for his parents' funeral. Moving would cost around $3,000. That all alone would cost nearly as much as he spent on supporting me. If we moved to an average 2-bed apartment in the area, our monthly expenses would be roughly around $2,700. And that's without me buying anything nice for his brother, no school trips, no decent school clothes, etc. It would cost me around $1,200 currently to live alone in our studio. So he was paying roughly $300 additional a month to provide for me, whereas in the future I'd be paying at least $1,500 a month to provide for him and his brother. It's just not even comparable. And #X200B. Edit 2, update. So Derek came home and we had a long 2-hour-ish chat about what taking on this child would entail. I showed him my Excel sheet that I made of what expenses would look like. I suggested he delay school so he can work to support his brother, or look into Social Security benefits and get a part-time job to cover his brother's expenses. He put his foot down, and said that since I didn't have to work while I went to school, he shouldn't have to either. He thinks that since we're engaged, my money is his money. I asked what caring for his brother would be like, how he would even get his brother to school, how he would make time to cook for his brother, help him with HW, etc. He said that with both of us working together we could figure something out. Ultimately, I don't want a child. I've been child-free for a reason, it's because I care about my free time and money. I told him the only way I'd agree to take in his brother and move would be if he at least got a part-time job to cover the roughly $1,100 difference between what I'm spending to support both of us right now and the costs of a larger apartment and an extra person to be responsible for. as well as him agreeing to take sole responsibility for parenting him. I don't want to take him back and forth to school every day, be responsible for making sure he eats, etc. Long story short, Derek gave me an ultimatum: support him and his brother or we split. It was pretty clear he was bluffing, but I agreed. Our rental agreement is month to month, so I told him I'd let our landlord know I'd be out before November 1st so he can take over the rental agreement. I'm currently packing my stuff to stay with a friend, but I should be able to find a place pretty soon. Derek has been begging me to stay, he has no job or way to pay for rent next month. So I offered to calculate what I owe him for supporting me, and after doing some math on what I've spent the last 4 months including the funeral expenses, I'll be sending him roughly $3.5K. It should hold him over for at least 2 months, enough time for him to find a job. He's been begging me to stay, but I don't think I will. The fact that he gave me an ultimatum like that feels gross. He wasn't willing to work at all, and I honestly think he would have pushed all the responsibilities of raising his brother off on me. Never thought I'd be in this position, but I'll be fine. At least I can finally adopt a cat after wanting one my whole life. Derek hates cats. Nah, your reasoning is fair. You didn't want kids. Didn't sign up for kids. Your life is not set up for kids. But that is his brother, and he feels responsible to care for his family. If you are going to marry this man, his burdens become yours and vice versa. TBH, this whole situation sucks. I am not sure what I would do. Edit to change ruling. After your edits, not the asshole. You tried to talk him through how this would work and it sounds like he is not willing to make any adjustments of his own to compromise. I'm sorry this has happened to you. Am I the asshole for not moving from my booked seat for an elderly person? I, 32 female, recently got a train across the UK from London to Aberdeen. It's a 7-hour journey, so I booked myself a first-class seat well in advance. First-class seats on trains in the UK can be expensive, but I decided to treat myself because 1. I was making the journey the day after returning from a 2-week-long work trip abroad and I knew I'd be exhausted, totally unable to function. 2. I knew I'd have work to do on the train, so I wanted to make sure I had space, comfort to be able to work. 3. On certain trains in the UK, the first-class carriages have individual seats, which means you're not sitting next to or sitting opposite anyone. The space is entirely your own and you can spread out over the little table. I specifically booked one of those seats to enable me to work. I got on the train at London and sat in my seat. The seat they'd assigned me was also the priority seat. Priority seats are the ones at the end of carriages for people with mobility issues due to age or disability, etc. A woman got on after me who was around 60 years old and pointed at the sign above my head and, quite rudely, told me to move because she was elderly. I told her I'd booked the seat and she'd need to speak to a member of staff to find her one. She pointed out that the train was full, even first class was full, and there were no other seats. I apologized but reiterated that I'd booked the seat and wasn't going to move. Eventually, a train guard came over to try to help. The lady had booked a return ticket, but she hadn't reserved a specific seat. For those who don't know how trains work in the UK, if you have an open ticket, and haven't also booked a seat reservation, it means you can travel on any train, but you aren't guaranteed a seat unless there's one available. He asked if either of us would consider moving to standard class if he could find us a seat. I again refused, explaining I'd booked the seat well in advance and that I needed it. He asked if anyone in the rest of first class would mind changing and no one agreed. Eventually he took the woman to standard class and I assume found her a seat there. I felt bad, but I also don't think I needed to put myself in severe discomfort because someone else didn't think ahead and reserve a seat. Am I the asshole? Edit. Since it's apparently not clear, at no point was I aware this was a priority seat before getting on the train. The train company are the assholes here. They sold the disability seats as the most expensive seats on the train. Then they tried to get the person who bought those seats to move to standard. Those seats should in my opinion never be sold unless the occupier is disabled. That's on the train operator. It's not on you. Not the asshole. Edited to add. I looked at a random time in a few weeks for London to Aberdeen trains. There was a standard price. Then it was plus 120 for first class. Then if you wanted the individual option in first class it was another 50. Not the asshole. I may be downvoted for this, but why was everyone else on the train in first class asked to move to standard before the lady in question who didn't book a seat was moved? Not the asshole. If it was a first-class seat on a plane and someone asked you to move to economy, you'd tell them to fuck right off. Same applies in my mind.